Okay, so we'll get started. Pardon, today my throat is very bad, so it may give me a little bit of niggly things. So welcome everyone to this webinar organized by BCIC and in collaboration with Code4X. My name is Manas Dasgupta. I am the chairperson of the IT and Cybersecurity Expert Committee at BCIC and also the founder of Code4X. Um, so today we are going to talk about Gen AI or generative AI, and we have an eminent panel along with us. Now, to give an introduction about Gen AI, it has been around for quite some time, but recently took prominence in big ways with the introduction or introduction of ChatGPT, and just like a couple of decades back or 3 decades back, Google came up with internet search, and that was a revolution. And a lot of people are actually making the same analogy that this is the next big thing after the introduction of Google search or internet search. Actually, even before Google, I think Yahoo came in, and there were other search engines as well. So yeah, I mean, there is some truth to it that it is a extremely big technology introduction in our generation. There is no doubt about it. However, Google search, whatever was behind it or not, Google search was um, pretty intuitive or straightforward to the common man. In terms of ChatGPT, it's a little different. ChatGPT also has other brothers to it. Google has Bird, which it has already introduced within its search engines. Facebook has come up with Llama. It's probably equally good or almost as good as ChatGPT and Bird. But those uh, tools or technologies like ChatGPT, Bird, and Llama, these are common men or common people interfaces. But there is a huge world behind them, and there are huge amount of use cases or possibilities or opportunities of automation, or rather say hyper automation in terms of in reference to today's discussion today. So there are huge opportunities for the enterprises to leverage the capabilities of generative AI, the technologies like ChatGPT, or rather the APIs or large language models behind it, or the Bird API or the Llama API, etc. So today's discussion is not about ChatGPT or Bird, the common people interface, but today's discussion is going to be for enterprises how to leverage the LLM capabilities or generative capabilities of what is behind ChatGPT or Bird or Llama. So, in terms of opportunities for businesses, or I mean, either leveraging the capabilities or in terms of businesses on generative AI, I mean, there are a lot of statistics floating around. We really don't know which one to believe or which one are reliable, and what are the techniques used by companies or research companies or consulting companies to bring up those stats. I was just looking into some reports this morning. There is some figure of 35% or 34 point, some research company has cited 34% CAGR between 2023 to 2032. We don't know whether that's really going to uh, take fruition, or is it going to be even more or lower? From a $14 billion market in generative AI, it may grow to 2000, or sorry, $200 billion, sorry, 14 billion to $200 billion between 2023 to 32. So we don't know, but there are huge opportunities. But the worrisome thing is that beyond a small group of people who have the appreciation and comprehension about data science and artificial intelligence. They are able to comprehend the opportunities and can advise their companies how to leverage them. But beyond that, even for uh, the regular IT person, the opportunities are unknown or people are unaware of what can be done using generative AI. And Bird, Chat GPT API, LLM API, etc., Bird LLM, Llama LLM, etc., are just to name a few that are available in the market. Okay, so the opportunities are huge. The technologies are quite many. Frameworks are coming up every day, LangChain and whatnot. So then there are new types of databases that are coming up, like vector databases. So we used to work with RDBMSs, then came a lot of different types of databases, and now with LLM, we have vector database. All right, so now let us hear from our eminent panel today. So let me introduce, we have Biswajit, Biswas. I mean, I'm just looking at my screen and introducing them in that order on my screen. So Biswajit is Chief Data Scientist in Tata Elxsi. Welcome, Biswajit.
Thank you so much.
We have, yeah, we have Anbu from TCS. Anbu heads the global digital business and emerging technologies for TCS. Welcome, Anbu.
Hello. Hi.
Right. So we have Ashutosh Khare from the Cigna India, from Cigna India. And Ashutosh heads the Cigna India Center, as well as he heads analytics for Cigna India. And we have Itti Singh. Itti is from the Landmark Group. She heads analytics advisory at Landmark Group. So welcome, Ashutosh, Itti. All welcome to this session. So I'll moderate the session with some questions, and we will hear from Biswajit, Anbu, Itti, and Ashutosh. All right. So let us start with Ashutosh yourself. All right.
Yep.
So the way we want to go ahead is first understand what is actually generative AI or GenAI, and what can we do with generative AI capabilities. So, Ashutosh, question to you is if you can explain the core capabilities of Gen AI to us.
Sure, Manas. Thank you. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk in this session with these eminent panel. So GenAI is the way I want to put it is an advanced AI system that possesses a wide range of core capabilities, making it versatile and powerful tool for various tasks and interactions. So one of the core capability of generative AI is to really understand and respond to natural language. It's been trained on vast amount of text data, uh, enabling it to comprehend and generate human-like response. This means that whether you ask a question, seek advice, or engage in a conversation, GenAI can understand your intent and provide relevant and meaningful answer. GenAI achieves this understanding through the use of NLP techniques. It analyzes the structure and meaning of the sentence, identifies key entities and concepts, and uses the information to generate appropriate response. This capabilities allows Gen AI to have more interactive and engaging conversations with users, making it feel more like a chatting with a human friend. Another important capability of generative AI is its knowledge base. So it's been fed with a vast amount of information from various domains, which includes history, literature, science, and more. And this knowledge base allows generative AI to provide accurate and up-to-date information on a wide range of topics. To ensure the accuracy and reliability of its knowledge base, generative AI leverages a combination of curated data sources and machine learning algorithms. This allows it to continuously update its knowledge base with new information, refine its understanding on a different topic. So as a result, GenAI can provide users the most accurate and relevant information available. In addition to its knowledge base, GenAI is equipped with a creative capability. So it can generate original content such as stories, poem, a lot of artwork. So by leveraging its understanding of the language and its access to vast corpus of text, generative AI can create unique and engaging piece of content. Furthermore, generative AI is sort of a clever assistant that can assist with problem solving and decision making. It can analyze complex situation, evaluate different options, and provide recommendation based on its understanding and knowledge. This capability makes GenAI a valuable tool for a wide range of tasks, like planning, some marketing strategies, solving a puzzle, creating a chatbot. So I'll talk about a chatbot that being recently built by a few healthcare companies. So I'll talk about in the later section of this discussion. So coming back to this, like to achieve its problem solving and decision making capabilities, generative AI leverages a combination of machine learning algorithms and reasoning techniques. It can analyze data, identify patterns and trends, and use this information to make informed decisions. So whether you need help with finding the best route of where you commute, choosing the right product to buy, or making any complex decision, GenAI can offer insights and suggestions to guide you towards the best possible outcome. So that's basic understanding on the generative AI. It's more on the capability of it to understand the natural language, the human language, and respond it back. That's the whole, and that's the whole idea behind the ChatGPT and the other models that we have recently seen coming in market, like the Bird and the Llama. So Manas, I can talk more about, but in interest of time, I'll stop here.
Yeah, but what you just said is overwhelming enough for the audience, I guess, because you have listed out quite a number of capabilities of generative AI, which are almost same as what humans are also trained from childhood to do. So the follow-up question is it becoming sentient? So with that, we will come to Anbu. Anbu, if you can extend on Ashutosh's answer to put more focus on LLMs and especially focusing on how they can be leveraged by enterprises, businesses.
All right. Thank you. I think first of all, I should thank the entire crew here. Thank you, the Chamber of Commerce and Manas, the entire team for giving me an opportunity to participate, and especially the eminent panelists as well. It's especially, I think you pointed out that we are in an exciting time, right? And talking about generative AI is almost like it is the most valuable aspect, and see whether I can see to add up. And I think between you and Ashutosh, you have covered the aspects of what is the core capabilities. But I think very specifically, if I wanted to come to enterprise, I'll put it across in 3 or 4 different perspectives. One, I think Ashutosh talked about advanced AI. So I think let me start it off from there. Advanced AI is the right word. I think when we talk about generative AI, we don't have to, again, purely enterprise AI. I'm not going to our enterprise context. I'm not going to the ChatGPT, Bard, and Bing, and all the other aspects. Purely from enterprise angle, AI has been there for quite some time. But what I would say this last November onwards, of course, even slightly before onwards, what has been made possible is the commoditization or the shrinking of the life cycle of AI is what I would say. That's one important aspect we can take. AI has been there, natural language techniques has been there, but the pre-trained, I think the GPT in some sense, or transformers in some sense. I think for an enterprise which would have to take this, and let us say a conversational AI or a bot has to be built, the timeline would have been a significantly longer one, taking across a base and then training it with some internal data, external data, whatever it is, and then putting it to use for enterprise. I think I would start off with that by saying for enterprise, it is, you can say, fast forward of a AI is what you are getting, with respect to whatever core capabilities you are getting it in today's world, whatever Ashutosh referred, whether it is conversational, whether it is ability to read and understand. Of course, always the generative AI, the G gets prominent, the generation portion of it, the response portion of it, but inadvertently the understanding portion of it. The whole model and the AI is much more, the capability of understanding English or language is also very, very prominent, right? That is one aspect of it. Then if I start looking into the perspectives, I think today Ashutosh also referred about the whole aspect of the chatbot, which is very visible. Chatbot is a very visible, or a conversational AI is very visible. It is, I will maybe just because the audience are a little diversified, let me put it across in the enterprise. When I start looking into building my workforce, I don't look at a baby to be onboarded into the organization, right? I look at a graduate who is engineering or whatever discipline, and then I start looking at it. I will correlate the same thing from AI angle. In the past, we have been doing AI, a vanilla framework, teaching them English language, grammars, or even ABCD, English language, grammar, and then telling them what domain to do. Now, I am with generative AI, I pick up a graduate who knows English very well, who knows all the grammatical, everything, who understand everything, and I only have to feed in the domain context. So the answer to your question is, from my enterprise angle, now I have a ready-made, it can be chatbot for a banking need. I come from banking, so I will talk about banking, any perspective, or an assistant to the wealth advisors, right? I can think about. So that is one side of the story. But I refer that as a AI for business, right? It can be utilized for automation of your workflows, your process flows inside your premises. But the that I say as AI for business. But the other aspect of it is AI for IT itself. The whole we talk about language, we talk about text, but one of the important aspects is that text also, in some sense, had code. That means your C's of the world, Javas of the world, Pythons of the world, Python language, all those things. So that is another perspective of how the enterprise is also starting to look into leveraging these generative AI. So from a business angle, you can look at this being automating most of your business process. I will get to it from a financial context, how we are leveraging. But the next is AI for IT, or generative AI for IT, in terms of a developer sitting in and working on a tool to get assistance for coding in Java to Python to anything and everything. Not only that, the future is also looking very, very bright. And as we speak, every day it is evolving. It is the entire life cycle of IT, right from the designs. That means, I think Ashutosh talked about image generation, the creative portion of it. Your website design, starting from your architecture to design to developing, all those aspects. So I will stop there. I will a little bit add up a little bit in when I can add up from a financial services. But in summary, it is the capabilities what you're seeing from a commodity common man angle, but just the context of the enterprise for the domain and other things is where the whole focus is. But the applicability is there on the business side. The applicability is there on the engineering side of it in whatever you do across. That's where, even though conversational AI or a chatbot appears to be prominent, but it can be automating any of your business process, your flow, all those things. I'll summarize with that aspect. I will expand on it a little bit later, Manas.
Sure. Thank you, Anbu. I mean, I think we've got a comprehensive overview from both yourself and Ashutosh on what are the core capabilities and extended capabilities that enterprises can leverage. Now, with that, Itti, we come to you. So now that we understand a little bit about the capabilities of LLMs and with regard to maybe common people or with regard to enterprises as well, we delve a little bit into use cases in various domains. And we start with marketing because you have expertise in that. Tell us about how do we achieve marketing automation with GenAI? Because in this audience, we have people from a number of different business domain, and marketing definitely is pervades across all those business domains that audience is coming from. And this is going to be useful for everyone.
Absolutely. And again, thanks for inviting me. I think when I think of generative AI, one of the things that I keep thinking about generative AI is that the core essence of generative AI is that it generates, right? It generates content and it generates information. So it can very easily become your collaborative muse. And that is something that's really essential for marketers, right? The ability for, generative AI to go ahead and, rapidly create content. Look, I come from a time when we had just started marketing automation like a long, long time back, where if I used to go back and say, I need 5 more creatives because I want to do this differently. I want to email the customer differently. And I could pretty much see the creative agency going in their head, oh, this is going to take us like another week and a little more time. We will not be able to generate this. And I'm like, no, but you know what? I have the offer going out tomorrow and I need to test 5 more creatives, right? So now with generative AI, you can very quickly generate new content, new blog posts, new social media posts. You have, DALI and Midjourney, from which you can, go ahead and create more images, a lot of images at scale. You can blend images. And then you have, generative AI tools like Synthesia. You can use that to actually create a video of your product. And that's so cool, right? Now you can very quickly create a video demo. And again, I go back to what, both Anbu and Ashutosh talked about. It's all based on natural language. So you're just giving it prompts and it starts creating all of this really interesting content. It writes scripts for you. You can then use AI voiceover to go ahead and actually create a full-scale demo. And this is where generative AI even makes it easier for people like me who work across different geographies. It does the translation, right? So no more, worrying about, oh, I have to translate this into 5 languages. Great. Generative AI can do that. Of course, one of the things that you have to remember is because it is generating a lot of content, and right at the beginning what you talked about, everyone's very excited about this. Just do keep in mind a little bit about copyright infringement and all of those privacy laws. So you want to think about that when you're using generative AI products. And as someone in the analytics world, I have to tell you all that this is something you should be thinking about when you're thinking about generative AI creating content. You can go ahead and use generative AI in marketing automation from the perspective of chatbots, right? Now you can roll out chatbots so fast. So now if I really think through the marketing funnel where you had a lead and a lead was coming in, right? So there's the lead generation aspect. During the lead generation, you can go ahead and use generative AI to very quickly understand the customer, right? So you can bring in the customer demographic and all of the information that you have to understand the customer, tailor your message to the customer. And then as you're nurturing the lead, you can go ahead and use generative AI to really personalize the content. And I'll get into personalization later on, but really personalize the content to the lead that you're, trying to attack. And then once the lead signs on the dotted line or makes the purchase, you can again continue the whole post-purchase journey by using generative AI to constantly create new content based on the customer's behavior, right? So that's awesome because you can now really do this very rapidly. And then you can go ahead and have a quick sentiment analysis based on how the customer is interacting with your generative AI chatbot. You can understand, what is the sentiment of the customer? Is the customer happy with my product? What can I do to, make the customer happier? So that's on the whole marketing automation side. The other things side you need to also kind of keep thinking about is the world's becoming more and more I would say more and more particular about the data that it shares, right? So we have this concept of cookieless marketing, which I would request everyone to go and read up, because it would take a session if I start explaining cookieless marketing. But you can actually use generative AI in this world of cookieless marketing to very quickly analyze the customer behavior and start sending them content that's right for them. You can do SEO optimization. For folks who don't know, SEO is search engine optimization. Generative AI can look at the whole cluster of keywords and refine the search really for what works for you. So I think from the perspective of marketing automation, we haven't been in a more exciting time because the opportunities are so many. But I always say, as someone who's been in this industry long enough, someone who's worked with, the financial services piece as well, someone who's been in retail, it's very important to constantly be thinking about, is my model biased? Am I infringing any copyright? What are the privacy laws? And those are small, those are things that you should be thinking about as you're deploying this. But I just think for a marketer, a generative AI is your collaborative muse, and it can really spearhead you. Say you're thinking of a new campaign, ask generative AI, let's explore this theme, and it can give you some really new and interesting ideas because it generates.
Excellent. And one follow-up question that I have, Itti, for you is that you talked about a lot of different elements, okay, in the entire marketing automation process, starting from content generation to integration to building chatbots, etc., etc. So, in all, it appears to be a very complex process, and a lot of that, a lot of these elements can be integrated into generative AI and can leverage generative AI's capabilities to bring in more personalization and other effectiveness, etc., etc. So, are there tools available at this moment, or this whole thing that you have spoken about have to be custom developed if a company has to really leverage generative AI into its marketing process?
Sure. So there are some tools that are today available to kickstart folks. Of course, it depends on what level of, what level of data you're exposing to generative AI. If, let's say, you're setting up a chatbot for a product which is really patented, etc., maybe you're looking at an enterprise version of your generative AI, which could also be like, let's say, you go down the Azure path or AWS path or whatever, but you want to train it on your enterprise version, so you're not exposing your data to the rest of the world, right? But if you just want to very quickly get started, get your hands dirty, this is what I did, right? Because when I heard generative AI can do image generation, I got super excited. And, I went in and tried out Midjourney. Midjourney is excellent for me. Again, I'm sorry, I'm not a seller of any of these tools. I'm just telling you what I've tried out, but there are quite a few out there. So Midjourney is very good. DALL-E is also good. My challenge with DALL-E was that it's only responds to English language. So maybe that's something for us to think about. Also, the verbiage in DALL-E doesn't come out clearly. For some reason, the text gets messed up. So I prefer Midjourney over DALL-E. On the other side, there's ChatGPT for creating new blog content, etc. But I have actually liked Jasper AI more, because Jasper AI has a way to check for bias, etc. So those are things that you can definitely think about. I said for video there is Synthesia. I've also heard of Runway, but I haven't, or am I mispronouncing it? Runway or Runway. I've also heard of that for video content, and that's something that you can definitely do. Products like Salesforce, if you're using Salesforce, it's already got a lot of generative AI stuff built into it. In fact, I'm seeing every CRM application out there going ahead and building a lot more generative AI, within their product. And if you're a large organization, like let's talk about Bloomberg. When Bloomberg wanted to, bring in their own bot, they built the Bloomberg GPT, which they trained themselves, right? Even Morningstar has a Morningstar GPT, which is trained on its own data. So if you have sensitive data, if it's something that you're thinking about and don't want to expose really to the rest of the world, you can definitely think of training it yourself.
Cool. Great. So with that, thanks, Itti. That was very comprehensive. So Biswajit, we're coming to you.
Sure.
Like Itti touched upon the marketing automation side, you with your expertise in the media industry, if you can talk us into what are the use cases and what opportunities exist for generative AI solutions in the media industry.
Yeah, absolutely, Manoj. So yeah, so thanks everyone again. I mean, yeah, so it's a good opportunity here. And yeah, so in the media segment, I mean, if you look at how the media is, I mean, all the way created, processed, delivered to consume. So at every step, there are a lot of things happens, like right from the way the production houses make the movies or shows, the reels and anything. So that needs a lot of pre-processing, or I mean, once the movie has been shot, so you need to do a lot of work. Like for example, there was a Bollywood actor who was 50 plus, but he wanted to look 30 plus in the movie. So you need to do a lot of this processing to look this six packs abs and stuff. So many of these kind of things, I mean, takes a lot of effort manually. So if you if you look at how it is done, you do a frame by frame touch up, you do those artistic effects. There are special tools like the Maya and Alias Waveforms kind of thing, very costly software. You have to go frame by frame and do all of that. But today, probably a graduate engineer first time looking at these tools, and they just give a frame and call this API and things. This is done in a Ziffy. So you can do all those special effects, adding special things into the video which has been shot, and make it a production ready photorealistic effects, the aging, de-aging, like you want to make a person who is like now, you take a childhood photo and make him how he will look. Suppose he's seeing a dream of very rich at 50 plus age. So you can actually do that in no time. I mean, using these APIs and stuff. So this kind of post productions, visual effects supports, a lot of work is happening, and very easy. It can be done. I mean, earlier we used to take a lot of efforts and times to do that manually. So that's on the production side. And then as the media is like getting, and today you have so many OTT platforms and so many ways people are consuming the content at different devices, personalized, and it has become very personalized, and so and so. So when somebody is watching the content in their platform, how it has to be consumed, what sort of content filtering has to be done. So these are all another examples of where these, I mean, with the AI, we used to do it, but uh, the learning curve, or the time taken to put together a tool is very high. To find which is the network to be. So, for example, you have to build up a team of data scientists. I mean, who are all very well, knowledgeable. They know the neural networks very well. A lot of good mathematics stuffs and things. So you have to basically do a lot of plumbing work to get things working. But because of this generative AI, the tools are so well packaged, and it is now trained on such a very large, vast amount of data. So it has been, I mean, given to you on a platter to work. So, for example, if a content has to be discovered, so for example, which is the most impactful few moments inside the video. If you have to do that in the previous generation of AI to today using Gen AI, it is much more easier. The AI has become multimodal. Generative AI has become multimodal. So earlier we talked about, or we heard that it started with the conversational AI as a context, but today all the AIs are becoming multimodal. I mean, even GPT has become, it can understand videos, it can understand image and etc. So it is no more just one model of data. So it can do everything. So because of that, all these things are becoming. I mean, you can discover the content very fast. You can discover and describe the content very fast. And because of this, the metadata generation in a video can very easy. Like today we are doing, for example, the entire universe of movie of a particular production house in Hollywood. So we can actually understand all the movies, their scene by scene descriptions, without looking at any other subtitles or any information. You can throw it to a knowledge graph. You can see all sort of associations between different actors, their relations, their actresses, those scenes, and say Batman, which all movies he has done, where he has worn this particular thing, or whichever vehicle he has driven at what speed, where there was a car chasing scene, and where he was there, what you were wearing a something, and but he's not wearing that. So all those complex graphical search you can do on the universe of this content without any problem. And these kind of tools getting built in days. I mean, these things earlier were so difficult. Any production guys, any media guys you talk about, they have this nightmarish thing that suppose today I have to create a 5 second or 5 minutes reel with all these things. He has to scratch his head. He has to go to his most senior person who has done that, seen that, all that. So you have to take his time, and he has to tell you, go to that video, go to this and all. Today, all these are not needed. These tools can be put together in no time, and then do your own search, intelligent search. So the limit is basically how you imagine yourself, what use case you're imagining. So everything is like the tool is available. So it's, if you can imagine well, you can get your things done. So these are, I mean, in the media space, I see quite a lot of work getting simplified. Quite a lot of things are evolving. Even the way the content is being served, that is getting changed, and and in the, especially in the ad industry. So we are doing quite a lot of work in the ad serving. So how the ad is getting served, like for example, when you were in a so suppose you are giving an ad of a good apparel or something, and you should not do it in a somber mood, in a scene where there is a very, the actor is going through a tough time, but you should not come with a happy Cadbury ad smiling and jumping. So you need to bring those sensibilities into the ad, so that ad is more receptive, I mean, received by the people in a more acceptable way. Similarly, I think all of you have seen the Titan Eye ad where Ayushmann Khurrana is, interacting with this the audience who is just shopping in the shopping mall. So you can imagine. I mean, a virtual actor will interact with you in real time, and suggesting you what to wear, which eyewear to wear, which dress or which apparel to buy, and where this discount is coming. Since you have bought this thing, these guys are giving another 30% discount if you have bought that. Please go and pick it up from Domino's or something. So, all these kind of real life things, interactive things is possible using this. So possibilities are limitless. As Itti said, there are, I mean, you need to really get it in your mind what you want. And of course, I mean, the tools are there. Some people may think it is very difficult to do all that. But I think one of the greatest thing has happened in generative AI is it is reduce the barrier of this using the technology. As I was saying that for AI, data scientist was required, a top scorer in maths and all that were required. But you can do all that in a simple English using GenAI. So this barrier has been reduced. So lot many inclusivity has come in. So lot many people can get into the job. A graduate or a less than that people can actually get into this job market because of the possibilities which are been enabled by the GenAI. And it has become more user friendly. The tools are becoming more user friendly, and people like us in the engineering sector to make this even more simple to use it, drag and drop, no code, low code. So all these things will get a lot of boost. So you will get a lot of no code, low code kind of platform using GenAI. You just go there, plug in, and start using. So that's the going to be future and enabling the scale of business.
All right. Again, one more overwhelming answer. And I guess that there is a question on ethical side also. There are problems like deepfakes using the same kind of technologies that you have mentioned, and not to talk about deepfakes can be used in various circumstances. Can be political influence, can be anything. The recent famous case is that Rashmika Manthana deepfake case. Yeah, all right. But then there are some concerning aspects as well. You have initially mentioned that certain things that used to be done using extremely expensive tools like Maya. I mean, we know that for VFX animation, Maya kind of tools. I mean, I don't know the price of them, but I guess they are some of the most expensive tools. Now, I'm guessing that some of these guys are going to lose a lot of business, if not all, but a lot of business due to generative AI capabilities. Do you think so?
True. Yeah, in a way, yes. I think it is going to be a Kodak moment for some of them. I mean, you all know what is Kodak moment. So, we are seeing that trend. We are getting requests of similar, like do this using this kind of technologies and give that kind of a scale. And you have seen those Hollywood strike news where people were, striking for certain, the number of hours reductions and so on and so forth. So these impacts are being visible, being already. But I'm sure, I mean, every business has to adapt. Every business has to be agile to kind of get used to these disruptions, and you have to embrace it rather than resist it. So I would say that way.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So coming to Ashutosh, sorry, Anbu, yourself, if you can also shed some light on use cases on the banking and finance side.
I think after Biswajit and Itti talking about marketing automation, I think from a financial services, I will just differentiate. Again, I think generative AI, from all the panelists talking about time shrunk, it has made commodity, all those aspect is still included in BFSI or financial services and insurance space as well. It is just that it is very regulated and decisioning and other aspects we cannot let the machine do unless otherwise explainability or auditability and other aspects of it, which is the primary issue at this point of time with generative AI. So with that said, I will give that perspective and say, see, not all is well and everything is prime time now. We are still looking at the industry slowly adopting. With that said, I'll start off. I think we talked about conversational AI and multimodality. I think that is still applicable. We are seeing a lot of churn happening within the industry. Financial industry is already taking that to the lead, right? Because of the natural language and natural large language and the creative ability to create all those things. Naturally, any chatbot in the banking world will become much more immersive, much more assistive, and that is the starting point, right? That's a no-brainer, and we see that already some kind of exploration is happening. And of course, from a consumer angle, you may not see so much because bot is already there. What is so big? But it is just that the ability for the bot to be human and you not even knowing that there is a bot. Of course, if I extend those things from a voice bot angle, that means ability to speak, you will also find out very little difference between a human is on the other side or somebody is speaking naturally, right? With all these creative abilities coming in. So that is one, and you can say contact center and the bot or a chat bot or a voice bot, all those things. The other area is where huge amount of knowledge is being churned in. I mean, again, for varied reason within banking world, large volume of unstructured data and insights are derived and decisions are made. It could be, I can talk about financial advisors, wealth advisors. I can talk about risk analysts, right? And there could be very many in retail banking to wealth to institutional banking. These are all segments within the banking, even though we look at it banking and insurance as well. Underwriters in insurance, for example, look at whole lot of unstructured data. So that is another area, that is another use case where these huge, like it might be thousands of documents to understand the company performance or fund performance or hierarchies of the companies or the risk ability, risk to look at the risk assessment they do. That area is another, and stakeholders could be very many, like I said, advisors to underwriters to all those things. This is high profile or highly skilled professionals who are looking at it. The other side of the story is operations. They day in, day out, whether it is back office, mid office, or they also churn a lot of the content, right? It can be unstructured, structured, in some sense, even images, videos, all those things, right? They look at it in for varied modalities. So that is another. And I think Itti talked about marketing. I will not even touch. All what she said is still applicable for the marketeers, the CMO functions, right? But again, it directly touches the customer, and financial institutions or insurance are not going to take straight away from whatever tools Itti was passionately talking about. They are very, very, very careful. And I mean, again, compared to all other industry, financial industry is going to be very, very protected. Right? But again, Adobe kind of tools are already, because for us, the financial industry is not going to take something from outside, even DALI or other things. But if Adobe comes and says, I can embed these things, you can start typing and talking from the stock, you can create and assemble. Perfect. I think that's already there. Firefly is an example, right? I would say that way, yes, the marketing side of the story. Then finally, I think Biswajit touched upon the AI for AI. That means AI for business. I talked about AI for AI. All sorts of legacy AI or traditional AI is not running away. We do a lot of things on AML, fund, the fraud detection and other things. And there are very many use cases where anytime a project or a initiative is talked about, data is a problem. Now with generative AI, it not only can create content or code or do something there, but it also can do synthetic data generation, which was a problem whenever a AI project starts. I don't have enough data for card fraud to be simulated or AML to be simulated. But with this coming in, that is another area to focus. So that is another area, AI for AI. And finally, I touched upon early itself the whole engineering, AI for engineering. It doesn't matter industry. In fact, I would say whether it is retail, whether it is media, whether it is anything, travel, but financial services as well. The co-pilot for developers, testing, the designs, everything. So I will stop there. I know we are running short of time, but I think that's the financial services perspective and insurance perspective, Manas. And of course, there are a lot of LLMs or a lot of generative AI frameworks. I will also say it is nothing but the use cases are many. We don't even talk about whether generative AI can solve. It is universal, like O group blood BSC, right? You can fit in anywhere, right? That's how it is.
Rightly said. I was talking to a friend who is leading a data science team in one of the large multinational banks. They have their captive center in Bangalore. And they said that their team has started taking in expressions of interest from different business units on what solutions they want, what problems they have that can be solved using generative AI. And within 3 or 4 days, they have gathered some more than 150 use cases, and most of them valid.
Yeah. No, that's why I said it is no more. I mean, sometimes technologies come and then say there is a solution looking for a problem. I've seen in the past in the 10 years, right? But thankfully, generative AI doesn't appear to be in that candidate or in that modality.
No, it doesn't seem so. Blockchain
Yeah.
is one such technology that for a long time it was.
I didn't want to name
solution
it.
looking for. I mean, at one point of time, I also did a number of blockchain events in for just like we are doing this GenAI session here. We've also done blockchain sessions in BCIC, but then it was a disappointment later on that on an incremental basis we didn't see penetration of blockchain in solving enterprise problems. But at this moment, the way GenAI is going, it looks to me that it's just the other way around. It's a solution present, and people are actually confused as to which problem to focus on first, because there are so much that can be solved using generative AI. So, I mean, referring to Vishwajit's explanation and your explanation in the last couple of questions. So, transfer learning is dead, is it? Replaced by RAG? Kind of?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
so the institutes will stop teaching about transfer learning.
I mean, cross your fingers.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we will come to Ashutosh. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Let's come to Ashutosh and then Itti. So Ashutosh, you want to talk about healthcare, some healthcare use cases?
Sure, Manas. So I'll be covering few generative AI use cases, which is recently being started. So anyway, like these use cases are in being developed for last couple of years, but now generative AI coming in, it's getting a pace now. So one of the use cases is a disease diagnosis case. For example, generative AI can help in disease diagnosis with greater accuracy. The algorithms can learn from large data set of medical images, identify pattern indicative of specific disease. For example, CT scans. So you have a lot of CT scans available. So generative AI can detect lung cancers by reading a lot of CT scans. Similarly, the skin cancer. So these type of disease can be so a lot of research is going on these areas, and I think few organizations have started using generative AI for this disease diagnosis, specifically for these sort of the lung cancer and the skin cancers. Another use case for the generative AI is a medical chatbot. So generative AI can create medical chatbots that provide patient with personalized medical advice and recommendations. So these are in market for a couple of years, but now with generative AI, this has moved to a next level. So for example, one of the use case I can talk about is if someone wants to understand like what is covered in his medical insurance and if you want to go for some treatment, whether that is covered or not. And so generally it's tough to understand. The insurances is complex, especially if you go to US. It's not so easy to understand what is covered in your insurance and what's not. So uh, the person can really call a AI chatbot, and he can ask a question. Look, my name is XYZ. This is my insurance number, insurance policy number, and I want to understand whether I'm eligible for this medication or treatment or not. So the generative AI models can really, go back and so this is the use case which is being currently being developed, where a vector database has been used so the person medical history is stored into vector databases. So all the PDFs, previous prescriptions were read, all the information was stored in the vector databases. And then so a RAG functionality is used. So quickly that the AI chatbot understands and reads out the whole the insurance policy documents, understand whether he's eligible for not. Even it also goes and understands the medical history. So based on everything, the bot can answer like, you are eligible for this treatment, but based on your previous medical history, we do not recommend you to go for this treatment right now because of XYZ reason, with some explainability. So these are the advanced level chatbot which are being developed, where they can actually talk to patients or the insurance members, and can explain them what is covered, what's not covered, and what should be your next steps. The other area is drug discovery, where a lot of things are happening. So one of the application of generative in drug discovery is the creation of virtual compounds. So virtual compounds are generated by AI algorithms and tested in silos in silico, which means in a computer simulation rather than a lab. So whatever you are doing in a lab can be done through a computer simulation. So this decreases the time and cost involved in the discovery of new drugs. So that's another use case where a lot of things happening in the generative AI side uh, for the healthcare industry. Another is managing healthcare costs. So AI can analyze large set of data to identify cost-saving opportunities, such as reducing the unnecessary medical tests, optimizing network provider contracts, and identifying high cost claimants for the early interventions. Risk pool imbalance is one good example. Like AI can analyze the historical claims data and demographics to identify and predict trends in the holder behavior, helping insurer balance their risk pool more effectively. So AI can certify patients based on their risk profile and tailor care management programs to high risk patient, preventing costly hospitalization and complications. Another example is use cases complex regulatory environment. So AI-powered compliances system can help insurer to stay up to date with changing regulation, and ensures that their operation adheres to legal requirements. Especially if you see the companies like UHG, Cigna, where they sell insurance across globe, right? And every country have their own complex regulation. So AI can be a good tool. Generative AI can be a good tool to really make some good chatbots or some sort of solution where they can manage this whole regulatory piece in a more defined way, and you need not to go and reading a lot of PDF and documents. Automated claim processing is another area where generative AI is doing so a lot of use cases are being tried on the automated claim processing. So I'll tell you, like, most of the claim processing is automated, but they're not fully automated. So there's still a manual intervention is required. With AI, generative AI coming in, the approach is to get this whole claim processing end-to-end automated. And I think the discussion that we are doing, it talks about the hyper automation. So here I want to touch upon this word hyper automation. So when you say automation, you are trying to automate a process through some RPA tool or RDA tool, right? Where you give some specific sets of input and direction to a process, and it follows it. It follows that part, and it does a sort of automation using a RPA tool, like the UiPath, Pega, Blue Prism. Now, when you talk about hyper automation, On top of this RPA RDA tool, you put one more layer of AI, right? Where it takes a lot of decision on the fly based on its understanding and the large language model which it uses and some other RAG system which it uses. So that's why when you call it as hyper automation, it is something which is automation which is coupled with the sort of some AI ML algorithms. Risk assessment and writing is another area where a lot of work is happening on the healthcare side. Medical coding and billing optimization is one another area. So these are the few use cases. Most of these use cases are currently being worked upon, and few which are actually being used by different organizations. Yeah, over to you, Manas.
All right, thank you. That was a lot of use cases, Ashutosh. Thanks for that. All right, with that, Itti, I think the next question is an extension of your first question, use cases in personalization.
Sure. I was actually just laughing when Biswajit said, you don't have to be a graduate to be working on generative AI. And I'm thinking, yeah, Sam Altman kind of dropped off after 1 year of studying at Stanford. So he's definitely not a graduate and he built the system. So I think, it's awesome. I mean, yes, I think what it brings to the table is really powerful. And I think, one of the things that you mentioned about personalization, I actually want to take a step back and I want to give you, some examples that are already live because, things become much more relevant to us rather than us talking about, hey, there is a use case, there is a use case. There are industries that are, or there are folks that are actually kind of using generative AI to personalize, right? So let me talk about Tapestry. Tapestry is the parent company for Kate Spade and Coach, right? And what they are doing is that they are actually implementing generative AI on the website as people are interacting with the website. So it's like a really personalized, it's like a really personalized engagement. And as you kind of go through the website, Tapestry is constantly looking at landing pages which are far more personalized. The website banners and buttons are being personalized. Even the email, obviously, that I talked about at length previously, right? So the email itself is personalized, and it just keeps looking at what are the words and phrases that you're interacting with, and accordingly craft the website experience to your liking. What's better still, and when I was reading this, I think one of the most fun things for me was that when they looked at their company's checkout page, it previously had very static copy asking for your delivery address and payment, etc., right? But what they recognized was that when they used a more emotive and conversational language, like like a person would use it, even the bounce rate from those pages dropped a lot, right? So they are actually seeing a very impressive lift in their conversion rates, and cart abandon rates are decreasing because of the level of personalization that they are bringing into their website, right? So when you were asking about what are the use cases of personalization, I was just thinking about Tapestry because they've done that, and they've done it for Kate Spade and Coach. They're the parent company for Kate Spade and Coach, and now Marks and Spencer is doing it, right? They are also bringing this website personalization, so you can really get to very dynamic website personalization. Email personalization, I kind of talked about. You could be chatting with an AI assistant, and slowly and steadily they start understanding your ways of speaking to them, and they continue to personalize it, right? You've seen Mintra's My Fashion GPT, I think that's what it's called, where it gives you, okay, you've not seen, but everyone go check it out. It's really cool because it kind of gives you recommendations about, if you go and ask, I don't like formal wear, I want to wear athleisure, what can I possibly wear? So it kind of gives you recommendations based on your styling. So that's like AI style assistance that you're kind of getting in. The other thing is that, because generative AI is able to do like really real-time sentiment analysis the way you're typing into the chatbot. Now, let's say, for instance, this chat was being handed over to a supervisor or someone because it was not getting solved. They can also give you a very quick glimpse of this person's very agitated. This is what has happened. It can really summarize and give you the sentiment of the customer so that when you're addressing the customer, you're very personalized. I say this is a problem because trust me, I know all of the folks over here have been on that one call where you've picked up your phone, spoken to a customer care agent and said, okay, this is not getting solved. Can I speak to your supervisor? And the supervisor starts off with, so what is the problem? And you're like, I just spent 45 minutes explaining what was my problem to you. Right? So you can now actually have these assistants becoming the co-pilot for better resolution. So your CX really goes up, a notch higher, right? I would recommend as you kind of start experimenting, right? And as Anbu mentioned, yes, there are some enterprises who are a little more wary about what products they can use within enterprises and what they cannot. I would recommend as you start experimenting, start seeing what is possible. For me, I think the fun part is this has a lot of capability. When you start thinking personalization, I've spoken about content and also I'm not going to talk about it again. But you can definitely personalize all of that as you understand a customer better. And it's not you who's trying to understand. That's the best part. You don't have to spend time trying to understand. Generative AI can really augment your personalization right now. So as Ashutosh talked about hyper automation, I think for the longest time, all of us have struggled with hyper personalization, and generative AI can make it much easier by dynamic customer journey mapping, dynamic content, dynamic website, dynamic A/B test. So everything dynamic, generative AI is there to help you.
Great answer, Itti. And again, it kind of reflects that there are so much of opportunities lying around for us, even in the aspect of personalization. So with that, Biswajit, I'll come to you, but probably link the next question to Itti's answer. A lot of what she said is possible also depends on how effectively you devise your questions that you are asking or devise your requests that you are asking of generative AI. And that's I'm not talking about ChatGPT, but the same kind of prompts, which are the requests to
Right.
the large language model that you are using, be it with RAG or directly just leveraging the language capability of the LLM that you are using. So how do you go about it? How do you master that art of crafting the
Right.
right request and possibly dynamically create follow-up questions to refine your answers?
Absolutely. So I'll just, at the very high level, there are four different ways of using generative AI. The first and very widely used today is the prompt engineering. Like prompt engineering is like you give a prompt and and then you slowly lead the AI or the LLM model to give the answer what you expect. So and as you know, all these LLMs are generated using public domain, vast amount of data from these Wikipedia and all that. So it has a very general corpus of information. So that's why it is very good in a standard commonsensical conversation. But when you are looking for a very specific answer, it certain sometimes goes haywire. I mean, haywire means, I mean, we call it hallucinations and all that. So prompt engineering kind of in a way step by step way to kind of lead to the right questions. And again, prompt engineering also is becoming very, I mean, instead of becoming very simple, it's becoming very nuanced. And all these different tool of prompt chaining, the autogens, multigens, which are all coming. Because when you write a prompt and ask or break down the prompt into small segments, and those prompts are given to the agents, and some of the agents or multiples of the agents are created. These agents go and query further, that you get an answer, then you again refine the answer, and then you again create the new prompt. So this kind of multi-level iteration happens for some time till you get the perfect uh, answer what you're looking for. So that is what is prompt engineering. So it can be very simple to very complex depending on how you design the prompt engineering. A very complex answer needs a very strong prompt engineering, and so forth. So it itself can be a good job. and can be done in a very effective, very intuitive way. Second type of usage of LLM, or how do you actually do, is called RAG. I think that is also very widely popular. It's basically, again, you kind of create your retrieval augmented generations, where you actually create your own primary data set, or your local data set, which you use to kind of uh, do the first level of retrieval, and then again send it to the LLM and get it back, and you get a slightly improved and better versions, especially when you're working with unstructured labeled data, your company financial data, tabular data, etc., which is not seen by your model earlier, but RAG or RAGs can work better. So that is second, because a RAG itself has its own memory stack, etc. So that's why there will be certain amount of memory space which you'll retain for that, and it will slowly improve over a period of time. So RAGs are doing slightly better than the prompt engineering. Now the next two are increasingly becoming more and more difficult. The third type is basically the supervised fine tuning, where you actually retrain the LLMs by your own curated data, and try to make the LLMs more curated, more customized, and all that. So and that is easier said than done, because those models are billion parameters, and obviously don't fit on any of your the computing infrastructure you have. That needs a special allocation. You need to have a IT infrastructure set up and do all that, get a special permission to load that volume of data and train, and it will take days to come out. So all that big challenges will be there when you are working with those, the third option. And fourth and final option, which usually not done by any of these mid-side things, except for the hyperscalers like Amazon's, Google's, or Microsoft, the people, they do the, or even, I mean, even the private ones, the Anthropics and all, I mean, they also will be doing is primarily those creating their private LLM. So creating the private LLM is basically bring your own data, you make your own garden, GenAI garden, and then and do it all by yourself in a very restricted environment, and borrow all the tools which are there from the community and GenAI's, and so you can actually make your own custom ML. We call it private LLM. So they are the four increasingly complex way of doing things. So majority of the work can be done with the first two, and these first two things are solving today 70-80% of the work. And but the challenge of these two is, like, you have hallucination problems, you have validation issues, you have guardrailing to be done, and all sort of regulations and regulatory requirements which are coming up. And you would have seen that recently US president has signed an executive order to kind of regulate AI, and there some of the guidelines says that any content generated by GenAI has to be watermarked or has to be upfront declared, and all sort of things. So these are some of the things which are evolving and coming up, and that is also, I mean, what we are seeing in our business space is majority of the work can be solved with the LLMs which are publicly available, and you can find the correct LLM from the leaderboards which are published regularly. The Hugging Face leaderboard is one of the very popularly, I mean, very frequently visited website, where you can see all the top models getting ranked, and people are testing and giving all sort of performance benchmarks. And also you can you can read the right instructions and see what is it being good for, what they are not good for, and then pick and choose what you want, and then slowly build up your stack. There are a lot of prompt engineering tools which are coming up, prompt gens, auto gens, mem gens. So in many of them are there, so you can select. So what we are doing in our workspace is we are building our own infrastructure, which kind of curates these tools and creates a set of templates for different business use cases. Like if it is a marketing Gen AI, these are the recommended ABCD tools. If it is a media segment, if it is a healthcare segment, so and so, so and so. Each of the domains need their specific curations of all the tools, not just the LLMs, but the other side tools which are required to drive those outputs and inputs and validations and guardrails. So I would recommend those approach, for starting with the GenAI side.
All right. Thank you, Biswajit. So we are doing very badly in terms of time. We are already over. So what we'll do is we'll cut the last round, except for one question, which is also asked by someone in the chat box. Uh, Ashutosh, if you can take up the ethics side, ethics and bias side of GenAI. That also would address one of the question in the chat box, and then we will take the other question in the chat box.
Sure, Manas. Yep, we can do that. So let's talk about the principle of what are the principle of the ethical AI, and it may be more related to healthcare if I talk about, but in general, I'll try to keep it more generic. So one principle is the transparency. So any AI system should be transparent, and their decision-making process should be explainable uh, uh, I mean, like if I have created a model, and if it is giving a specific answer, then the model should be able to explain that why it is giving this X answer, not Y answer. So that's something which you call it explainability in terms of uh, so it should provide the explainability to the stakeholders. That's one thing. So we call it as transparency. So transparency helps build trust in AI system and allows for scrutiny and accountability. Other principle is the privacy and data security. So protect the data. It can be related to patient data or any any PII data, PHI data. So that's another area where we have to make sure the data which is being used in the models is secure. Other principle is the bias mitigation. So most of the time, in AI algorithms, they tend to bias towards uh, some sort of genders or some different demographics. So that's another area where we have to make sure that bias mitigation doesn't happen. Uh, Other than this, like there are a few more areas. For example, equity and accessibility is one area where we have to ensure that AI-driven solutions are accessible to everyone. So it is more from the perspective you should not make some solution which can be accessed by only one set of people and not by the another set of people. That's another principle in the which talks about the ethical AI. So these are the few areas I can talk about on the hallucination. Maybe I can touch upon it. So what hallucination is and how we can work towards to reduce that hallucination thing. So hallucination happens when your model is really not able to, or it provides a wrong answer, but your model thinks that it's providing the right answer. So it is hallucinating in some way, and in some way hallucinating is good because it sometimes brings some patterns which we never thought it can bring in some cases. But in general, hallucination is something which we need to mitigate. So how we can mitigate the hallucination? One is using a high quality training data, right? So we should, in order to prevent this, we should ensure that the data is balanced, diverse, and well structured. So these are the few things we need to keep in mind. Other is define the purpose of your model. So like spelling out how you will use the AI model, as well as any limitation on the use of the model. This will reduce the hallucination. Your team and organization should establish the chosen AI system responsibility and limitation. This will also help the system complete tasks more effectively with the minimum irrelevant hallucination results. Another way is use of data templates. So like data templates provide team a predefined format, increasing the likelihood that the AI model will generate output that aligns with the prescribed guidelines. So relying on data templates ensure that output consistency and reduces the likelihood that model will produce faulty results. A limit response. So AI model often has to hallucinate because they lack constraint that limit possible outcomes. So we have to make a guardrail. So to prevent this issue, like what we can do is how to like to improve the overall consistency and accuracy of the result. We have to define the boundaries for the AI model using some filtering tools. Uh, other things that we need to keep in mind is we should make sure that we test and refine the system continually. So that is very important. We should do a very thorough testing before putting any AI system for public use or in for any chatbots. And the last but not the least, most important thing is rely on human oversight. So making sure a human being is validating and reviewing your AI output in a final backstop measure to prevent hallucination. Involving human oversight ensures that if AI hallucinate, a human will be able to filter and correct it. That's the most important thing that we should keep in mind. So, yep, over to you, Manas. I think in interest of time, I won't take more on this.
Yeah, so thanks for that, Ashutosh. Very well structured. And we'll just take the last question, which is an audience question. The first question came from the audience from Colonel Hariprasad. Is there any standard developed for AI? So I would take that it means GenAI. How can we be sure about the efficacy of AI? Anyone who wants to take this question?
Anu, you want to take it?
Yeah, I can quickly say then probably so as far as the standard is concerned for AI, there are certain efforts made. I think European Commission was much ahead on that. I mean, they came out with certain regulations. They were the first to come out with the GDPR rules, and they were also like first to come with certain guidelines of how AI has to be built. And then I talked about the AI regulations. I mean, that is not in a law yet, but is an executive order from US President. So that is the certain guidelines on ethics and regulations and things. So similarly, in India also we have a certain basic framework of how AI, which is by the Niti Aayog, which has come in and getting discussed. And there is a AI paper which is being discussed in the Ministry of Digital India. So there are these different forms are available. Nothing is yet like a law or some such thing, but yes, there are a lot of practice and things developed. Companies, corporates internally are developing their own set of processes and things, how the AI has to be developed and how AI has to be, the data privacy has to be maintained. There is a good data governance policy the IT teams are drafting. So yes, at different level, different ways, these things are coming, and slowly it would become a standard way of doing things as we go forward.
And as far as
Interestingly,
privacy,
Biswajit, when you talk about this team or the policy, so I'll tell you the one example. Like in many healthcare companies, the COE which approves any use case for the AI, uh, so 50% of the people in that committee are the lawyers. Interesting
Right.
to know. So once they approve it, then actually this goes the AI actually goes for any user prediction.
so as far as
Absolutely.
privacy side is concerned, the DPDP, which is already introduced in India, Digital Data Protection, Digital Personal Data Protection Act, DPDPA, 2023. So this is going to be applicable on GenAI as well, GenAI AI or any mode of AI from the privacy side. The other thing which is already present and some countries regulate put regulation on that as well is that if you're a large corporation, you have to have a ethics board, um, a digital ethics board. So we haven't seen any example of AI ethics board, but digital ethics board definitely is in place in all large companies, starting from Google AI, sorry, Google, Microsoft, Adobe, etc. So all of them have this digital ethics board. So AI would definitely come into their purview as well till the regulations come in.
I think in summary, if you wanted to put it across, Manas, every act, every standards will look for, I think, few things what all of us talked about, the safety, security, robustness, the fairness, inclusivity, the transparency and explainability. In fact, financial institutions, if that is not there, you cannot use for decision making, accountability and governance, whatever, whoever is delivering it, all those, I think in any act, it is prominently visible. I think in put together, I think I would say, and that addresses ethical issues as well. And also,
Absolutely.
I
Like
think the
say for instance,
continuity question of efficacy, I think already Biswajit answered it. One or two of those modalities, whether it is RAG or whether it is leaving aside the public LLM, some of those from efficacy angle, today we are mitigating. But in future, it might be something because for we are actually scratching the surfaces at this point of time, as far as the use case, which is being carried out as exploratory or which is being into the production in the enterprise. I'm not talking about the consumer side. We are, I think, if you wanted to say tip of the iceberg, that's all right at this point of time. And for that, from efficacy, we are looking at all these modalities. I think starting leave aside the public side of it, the RAG to fine tune to. Of course, as you go, it is going to be difficult to do it.
Right.
yeah. So I mean, one point that Biswajit mentioned is the Hugging Face leaderboard, which ranks and gives points to various, I mean, based on feedbacks from on various LLMs. Right? And one of the things about transparency, the interpretability or explainability side, which was already there. So, say for instance, you are a consumer applying for a health insurance or life insurance policy, and or for that matter, a mortgage, applying for a mortgage, and the the decision comes from a digital actuary or AI-driven decision-making system. Now, if there is in case of a rejection, some of the countries, including US's regulation, says that you have to be able to explain the reason. So if that is driven by GenAI, then that interpretability angle already comes in as
Correct.
part of existing regulation as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we'll conclude it here. We are way over time. We don't have any further question on the chat box also. All right. So in conclusion, thank you all of you, Ashutosh, Biswajit, Itti, Anbu. Excellent discussion, and there is so much to discuss on this topic at this moment. And as Anbu, you rightly said, we are scratching the surface, tip of the iceberg. And in terms of use cases, I think there is a ocean of problems that can be solved by GenAI. I think very exciting times to come. I think this is only one virtual session that we are doing here today. Uh, I think there will be opportunity to do many more. As GenAI advances, we will also bring up advanced discussions on those topics on GenAI and associated technologies, tools, etc. So thank you, everyone. Many thanks to the audience for being here, for attending this. I'm hoping that you all have liked it, liked the discussion. It's a very informative. At points, it's so much informative to the extent of getting overwhelmed, but that is the state of the technology or the nature of the technology today. So that was expected. I would also like to thank you for thank BCIC chamber staff, including Rupa, Purshot, and everybody else who have been instrumental in making this event. I mean, supporting us on this event, making it possible. So, thanks to you. So, with that, yeah, signing off. Anything else?
Manas,
Anjana?
thank you. Thank you also for moderating. And Dr. Devrajan was also there in the beginning. I think I'm not sure if he was able to attend the whole program. but it's wonderful to touch upon the cutting edge technology. Second is it's also nice that we had participants who had come in during their busy schedules to listen into all the speakers. Thank you, Ambu. Thank you, Ashutosh. Thank you, Biswajit. Thank you, Itti. And thanks, Manas, you too. It was fantastic. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Anjana. I was feeling left out.
Thank you.
We are all there with you.
Thanks,
Thank
Manas.
you.
Thanks.
Okay,
All.
all right.
Tata.
Thank you,
Bye.
Thank you all.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.